Amen. Good morning. Welcome to worship at High Country UCC. Whether you're joining us in this space today or you're joining us online, we are so glad that you showed up here. It looks a little different in our space today. Even if you're online, I think you can tell that. We've got tables set up. There's butcher paper on your tables. Today we're talking about childlike resistance in our series on beautiful resistance. And so we created this space to be a little more childlike today. So you've got crayons. I encourage you to color as we go throughout the worship service. You don't have to be as quiet today because we're embracing our childlike nature, and kids like to sometimes, and we love that. So make this your space. I hope you'll color and create something as you go, or maybe it helps you focus just like it helps kids focus, or you need something to do with your hands. Maybe this is a beautiful Sunday for you. Today we will talk about childlike resistance, and we also kick off our stewardship campaign. You should have gotten an email from Pam this week about us celebrating what we're going to do over the next year. So our doors are open to all as our theme for stewardship today, and we're talking about how social justice and the things that we care about is lived out here in this community. So Lee's going to share from her perspective and a little bit about what that means for her, and I hope that if you feel like there's something here that this church is doing that helps you lean into those pieces of yourself that want to be welcoming and want to create a better world, that you'll reach out to us and help us tell your story in worship also. Let us, in playfulness and fun, worship together this morning.
Good morning. Okay. I'm sorry, I've never done this. I just want to say, I'm so happy to be here. And I was just telling Sarah, I love the words that she puts together. It's like, when I saw this morning, that I was going to read this, I thought, this is literally what I pray for and meditate on every day. And I think we all do. So it's kind of amazing that Sarah puts it into words and we say it together. Now, we say together the part in bold, is that right? Yes. The part in bold. Okay, so come let us imagine a world where all care for each other, where we listen and grow along a community who believes all are important. Come let us imagine a world where the wisdom of a child is celebrated, where we celebrate play and nurture tender spirits. Come, let us imagine a world where all practice resistance, where we move against systems that call us toward always a being. May our worship today begin to bring this new world into being. Let us worship together.
So I had planned this mindful moment to have us to be moving a bit, but now I think I'm going to change it a bit and have you pick up a crayon, any crayon, and hold it in the air. There's a time in everybody's day when you just need to shake the sillies out. So we're going to take a deep breath. And when your hand comes down, I want you to scribble as fast as you can. Ready? Take a deep breath in and go. Scribble. Now, pick a different color. This time, take a deep breath in, and as your crayon comes down, wiggle your hands, and then scribble again. All right, ready? Here we go. And down, go. Good job. Now, third time, take a deep breath in. And if you can stand, stand, and you're going to wiggle your whole body down and then scribble, okay? So ready? Take a deep breath in and wiggle. Scribble. just sit down and breathe in normally and release on an ah.
You're invited to join us to sing on this song as we lead. The words are in your worship guide. I am a lonely drop of water falling through the sky. The ground is coming up so fast, fear the end is nigh. And then splat, shake my soggy head and look around and see there's a lot of little lonely drips feeling just like me. And the water's gonna roll from the mountains to the stream, and the water's gonna roll from the river to the sea, and we'll roll on together till everyone can see that the mighty tidal wave is made with itty bitty drops like me. Now I'm trickling through the gutter, through filth upon this earth. Sometimes I have to wonder just what my life is worth. How much does one drop matter? How much does one drop mean? But a little bit of water could do a whole lot of washing clean, and the water's gonna roll from the mountain to the stream, and the water's gonna roll from the river to the sea, and we roll on together till everyone can see that the mighty tidal wave is made with itty bitty drops like me. I am refreshment for the weary. I am life to the farmer's field. And when you jump into that swimming pool, thank me for how you feel. I will drop you in the bathtub and drip you till you're dry. And when you stand at the river Jordan, I'll take you to the other side, and the water's gonna roll from the mountains to the stream, and the water's gonna roll from the river to the sea, and we roll on together till everyone can see that the mighty tidal wave is made with itty bitty drops like me. And we roll on together till everyone can see that the mighty tidal wave is made with itty bitty drops like me.
Thank you, Sarah.
Good morning. So anybody that knows me knows that I have a very strong passion for children, especially young children. And I have worked my whole life with young children and their educators for about 35 years, which was my whole entire career. And of course, many of you know that my dream for this church is to have more youth here. Not to be cliche, but the children are our future. So we need someone here to carry on and to carry on our legacy. We already work with Youth Village, Children with Wildwood, and that ministry. We have our little library outside. We collect diapers, but we want to expand on that if we can. So a little bit of the science behind why young children are my passion is called the first 2,000 days, if you've never heard of that, and that's birth to 5. And that first 2,000 days is profoundly significant. During that time, the brain is undergoing rapid growth and development. The brain is forming the essential neural connections that shape the child's learning, their abilities, their emotional well-being, and their overall health. So their experiences that they have within that 5 years, their brain adapts to those surroundings, and those adaptations persist throughout life. The brain architecture established during that time becomes the foundation for their learning. and early stimulation and positive interactions foster that cognitive growth. So who here has ever eaten, or made Jell-O? Raise your hand. I'm not saying you like it. Have you ever put things inside the Jell-O? What kind of things? Shout out some things you put in Jell-O. Fruit. Marshmallows. Nuts. Okay. So those things kind of make it better, don't it? Gives it more of a foundation. So you see, children are like Jell-O. That first 2,000 days, you're making the Jell-O, and you have a small window of opportunity when it's liquid to put those things inside there and to incorporate those things in that Jell-O before it congeals. Because once it congeals, it'd be harder to put things inside, wouldn't it? Now, I'm not saying that you stop learning when you turn 5. That's because I learn new things every day. But it is significantly harder. So we have lots of teachers in here, past teachers, retired teachers, friends of teachers. Teachers are important, aren't they? That doesn't start at kindergarten. That starts at birth. Parents are a child's first teacher, and we need to also recognize early educators that work with children birth to 5. You know, years ago, a woman's place was in the home, right? And there was no such thing as childcare. But now, everybody has to work, basically, to make ends meet and to have a life that we want to live. So we have childcare, and we want to know that those things are important as well. So recently, I wanted to leave on this. So recently, we were at an outdoor music festival the other night, and we saw there was a grassy area in front of the stage, and behind was hundreds of people. And there was a little girl out in the middle of that grassy area, and she was dancing, and she was flipping, and she was doing her thing. And she did not care that people were looking at her. Now, how many of y'all felt very strange standing up and dancing when Sandra asked you to? We feel like people's watching us, right? And there's that's because we've learned that behavior. We don't feel as free like we used to. So I want you to do what makes you happy. And I want to leave you with this. We aren't promised tomorrow. So do what makes you happy and dance like no one's watching.
The words are inserted into your bulletin for the next song. Everything grows and grows. Babies do, animals too. Everything grows. Everything grows and grows. Sisters do, brothers too. Everything grows. A blade of grass, fingers
we have another mindful moment. I want to tell you that these cards that Sandra was working off of, and we'll have one later, are from a deck that Jackie Henry showed us that are about ways for kids to relax and kids to find centering. So ways that we've done that in the past are very, a little bit different. We don't shake our sillies out when we do adult centering. So today we're embracing these cards and centering ourselves like children. So I invite you into this one with me too. We're going to do it seated, but it's called Mountain Rising. So ground yourself with your feet on the floor, strong, strong feet like a mountain. You can keep your eyes open. Imagine as you sit, you are a mountain rising up from the ocean. Your head is the tippy top of the mountain. Keep it tall. Raise your arms, fingers apart, lifting your mountain higher. Hold it for a moment, solid, solid as a mountain. Notice if you have any thoughts or worries in your head. See them as tiny waves splashing your mountain. Breathe in and breathe out to blow the waves far out to sea. Watch the water become calm and still around you. Lower your arms. Take one deep, mindful breath and relax. And you can stay strong as a mountain all day. Ooh, I feel very strong after that. Martha said she couldn't see me if I stood behind the pulpit, so I'm going to embrace the fun of today and stand out in front, even though that's not my preferred method of preaching, but I will do it. I've made you all uncomfortable by making some of you sit on the front row and by sitting at tables today and coloring. So keep coloring as we go if that's how it feels for you. Our biblical text for today is from Mark chapter 10. Hear these words. People were bringing little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them, but the disciples rebuked them. When Jesus saw this, he was indignant. He said to them, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." I'm going to read that one more time because that went quick. People were bringing little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them, but the disciples rebuked them. When Jesus saw this, he was indignant. He said to them, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." This text for today, we are plopped right down in the middle of Jesus' teaching in the chapter of Mark. Very serious teaching. The verses before these 3 verses that we hear are talking about divorce and families, and that is definitely another sermon for another day, but I will not touch on that today. If you want to hear it, send me an email. It's a little dicey, let me just say. If you read all of chapter 10, it seems like these verses just kind of emerge from nowhere. These children show up out of nowhere. Kind of reminds me of this scene that we had last week, if you were here, when the doors opened from worship and we had 2 little ones run in to find their adults to show them what they had done during worship time. And they'd already grabbed the snacks too because they were right out there. And I kind of imagine that's how this scene went, too. There's adults all around filling the space where Jesus is teaching, very centered, very focused. And there are then just kids playing and running around between the rows of people, kind of like you were talking about, Lee. We were at that same music festival, and everyone was sitting, and then kids just making their way around. And then their parents corral these children who are having fun and bring them to Jesus to bless them. Blessing was something that Jesus did regularly. We've probably all heard those stories, but during this time, having children in a space like this and offering them the same as adults in a space would not have been common at all. Children were rarely regarded as full humans in that time. And the disciples see this corralling happen, this scene, and moving toward Jesus, and they are not having it. I imagine them. No, 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 no. You can't create a fuss and distract us all from Jesus for all that time and then ask him for a blessing. No. You head back to the back so you don't distract these people anymore. But Jesus, like he often does in the Gospels, shocks the crowd and defies what society would see as appropriate. He says that the little children should come to him so that he may bless them. And then he says, the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. When we think folks are outside our community or less than, Jesus reminds us that it's exactly those who we think are outside, that will bring God's kingdom to life. There's not an abundance of stories of children in the Bible. And it's also hard to find them sometimes because our ideas of what is a child and what was the idea of a child in ancient times are very different because our lifespans are very different. But if we look in the Bible for stories of kids, I Googled it, top 10 stories of kids in the Bible. We get stories like Daniel's. He's told by King Nebuchadnezzar to eat the food at his palace, and that defies the commandment of God. And see, he instead chooses to be thrown into a fiery furnace with his 3 friends. Very serious story for a child. And he is ultimately saved by God, just so you know, making sure. Or the story of David, who went into battle with just a slingshot to fight against the great Goliath, also a child. They think he was 8 or 9. Or even the story of Mary, who was probably only 13 when she was given the task of bringing the Messiah earthside. Wow. Amazing, incredible stories of kids doing things that definitely made an impact. We tell these stories all the time. I've told them at VBSs that I've led. I've been part of musicals that sang of the fiery furnace with 20 kids on stage, which feels disconcerting now to me in my adulthood. But when I was reading Caitlin Curtis's chapter on childhood as resistance this week, I realized that all of these stories that we've told over the years and that we talk about at these musicals and things are kids being asked to do things that kids should not have to deal with. Kids being treated like adults and being forced to grow up really quickly. Kids should not have to worry about a fight with an advancing army and being the strong one that leads the way, that's brave. Kids shouldn't have to worry about a dictator who wants them to do exactly what they say. Kids should be able to be kids and have fun and play and grow and color and shake all their sillies out. I've been listening on This American Life by NPR for months about a family in Gaza who's been displaced by the genocide there. Producer Hannah Jaffe-Walt talks with a man named Yusef Hamash about how much he moves his family around the country to look for safety. Yusef is from Gaza. His family is all from Gaza, and he works for a humanitarian organization in Gaza that's based in the Netherlands. So he's resourceful, and he knows a lot about how to navigate the country and what flows in and out, which is unlike a lot of folks in Gaza who feel very lost in this time. If you haven't listened to this series, I really encourage you to go listen to it. All of the titles of this series are Yusef's Week this week or something like that. In one breath, he jokes and has this great deal of hope that he can keep his family in safety. And in another, he recounts very hard stories of losing loved ones and how he feels the weight of the world on his shoulders and all of his family on his shoulders. In the first episode with him, Yusef talks about how his children have been affected by the war going on around them. In the beginning of the war, when they first heard bombs, he says they would run immediately to their parents, knowing that they'd be safe. But months into direct conflict in the areas that they have moved around to, they don't run to them anymore. Which is heartbreaking for him to tell the story and to hear it, because they know that he cannot keep them safe anymore and can't protect them from war. Children in our world are forced to grow up way too early. And that's not just halfway around the world. Our children here are forced to grow up too early. Happens in our community, kids experiencing houselessness or having no stable housing, moving around from place to place, maybe moving around from foster home to foster home. The 1 in 4 children in our county who experience food insecurity. Children pushed into situations where they aren't allowed to be carefree and to develop into who they want to be. And that is heaviness. All of that heaviness is exactly why I love this scene with Jesus. And I feel like we need to hold on to it. There's no expectation given for the children in this story. I don't imagine them being extremely well behaved in this space, because then the disciples probably wouldn't have reacted so poorly to them. They are just kids being kids. And Jesus decides to bless them. He doesn't ask them to do anything amazing or give them some great task or chide them for any behavior that they've had while they're there. He just honors them in being themselves right there. For this worship service, I had you send pictures of your younger selves, and Pam is going to show those pictures up here. I had a lot of fun this week getting these photos, I will say. They brought a smile to my face. We can guess who all these people are if you want to. What do you remember about these photos? That's one of my favorite ones. Tell me, when you were looking through these photos, if you sent one to me. That's Mary McKinney. That one was really cute, too. She's watching online, so I really want her to know we're showing it. Did you think of stories of yourself as a kid when you were sending these to me? Anybody want to share one from your picture or just from when you were looking for them? That's Bobby. I love that one, too. It's very cute. Any stories, fun moments? Yeah. I love that. Your dog, Rufus, who was your best friend. I love that. I'm repeating it so folks online can hear it too. I kind of thought there was a story with Rufus there. I didn't know his name, but I love that. Any others that came up? Or stories that you're thinking of right now? Oh, I really liked Super Mitch. I don't know if Mitch knew that Bobby sent that one, so we're might be surprising him right now. Any other things you remembered from sending these photos? Is that Haley? I was wondering. Wow, she's a trooper. She's got those big eyes. When I saw these photos coming in, I imagined all the fun things you were doing at these times. Families that looked like each other, that scenes where you're outside. We talked earlier, Pam said about it was a big thing to take pictures in front of cars for a long time. That was a thing, right? Yeah. My parents have a lot of pictures in front of their cars, too. This is Curly's picture. Where's he? Yeah. This is very Pennsylvania, right? Yes, it's very Pennsylvania to me. What? Those are good. That's a Sharon back there. I don't know if everybody knew that I was going to call out their names of who they were. My photo should be coming up soon. You're doing great, Pam. Pam's amazing. Please. Yeah. 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 It's as I was thinking about this, it's really hard to kind of discern what to think about that, because you want to celebrate your own childhood and also knowing probably, yeah, you missed out on those things, but it's also a beautiful thing that as a child you were able to be celebrated and loved and play and have fun. It's hard. So in a moment, Pam is going to bring out my photo, but it's okay if it doesn't get up. My photo is me and my brothers in the Great Smoky Mountains in Cades Cove in Townsend, Tennessee, which is my favorite place in the world. You can tell I'm a 90s kid if this photo comes up by the jackets we're wearing. It's very cool. We'll find it. The things I remember from that age are normally captured by a picture. My parents were pretty good at taking pictures. My dad's family, when they weren't in Brazil on mission, lived in Townsend, and it's right outside of Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, and they call it the quiet side of the Smokies, which we really loved. I remember swimming in the deep hole, watching the water wheel at Cades Cove spin and spin. I remember hikes to waterfalls and having fun with my brothers. Like Martha, I remember all that play, all the times I just got to be a kid. In the 1980s, the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights recognized play as a right of every child because it's so important for development, kind of like what Lee was talking about earlier, too. You preached my sermon for me. You didn't know, but I love it. The American Academy of Pediatrics published an article about the importance of play and its role in the development of children. They highlight how important play is for brain development. Kids learn about and explore the world around them through play, and they learn how to communicate with others through play. Play also teaches kids to be brave and to step out to try something new in a safe environment. It helps them practice to share, to resolve conflicts, and to learn self-advocacy skills. When we allow kids to play and direct play for themselves and not be overbearing about play, they also begin to learn how they want to be in the world. They develop their own interests and passions and things that make them happy. And overall, it's just a lot of fun for kids to be able to play. I think many of us do know those benefits of play and the fun for kids. We know they shouldn't be dealing with complex problems in the world and fearing for their own well-being or safety. But I also think that at times, if we're not careful, we can be like the disciples, thinking that this is not the time or the place for kids to be running around, that we should be more serious. We inadvertently create spaces that center what we as adults want, and we forget about holding on to spaces for play and activity. I felt this a lot as I was figuring out how we would do worship today, adding tables with coloring. I thought, why don't we have a space for kids in here? Oh, there's me and my brothers, as I was talking about in the Great Smoky Mountains. Our space is full of chairs. We have rocking chairs to make sure that people feel comfortable, chairs with arms to make sure people can push up and have that. But we have no space for kids to be in here and play. A couple of times when we've needed to bring kids in here, Ada has created a pillow fort over here or back there that's been pretty fun too. So we create those spaces sometimes, but largely this space is for adults, right? We center adults in this space. We do that. When we do that, we don't just lose the ability for our kids to have spaces to play and have fun, but we also lose spaces where we can have play and have fun. I've seen some of you drawing and coloring still as you're going throughout the worship service. That tells me that some of us like to do that we like to have something to do with our hands and have different ways of interacting, and that we can't always just focus for however many minutes my sermon is. And I understand that completely. Have any of you seen the show Friends, very many of those episodes of Friends? I'm a millennial, so I have, of course. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about Friends. There's one episode that I love. Phoebe, who if you've watched Friends, you'll know is the free-spirited, fun one, kind of hippie, wants to go for a run in the park with Rachel. And Rachel is the cool girl who is in the fashion world, if you don't know. Very cool. Jennifer Aniston, if you can connect the dots there. So they go to Central Park for a run. And Rachel starts tying her shoes while Phoebe's taking off. I love these photos. And Phoebe comes racing by Rachel, flaring her arms and legs like a kid racing on the playground. And Rachel is so embarrassed to be seen with Phoebe. She finds a way to get away from Phoebe, make an excuse so that other people don't know they're together. A little farther into the episode, Phoebe finds out that Rachel was embarrassed, and Phoebe isn't fazed. She just tells her, try it. Try running like a kid with abandon. Try playing. And at the end of the episode, Rachel and Phoebe run together, looking a little wild to the people around them, but also having the most fun running like kids. Rachel talks about feeling free and easy and how nice it is to have the wind blowing on all of her limbs. And she remembers what it's like to run for fun and not for purpose or for exercise. As adults, we realize the ways we should act. Like Lee said to us, it gets a little embarrassing to get outside of what we should do. We realize when it's more appropriate to be quiet and make our emotions small instead of getting too excited and overwhelming to others. For a long time, if I teared up in a sermon, I would feel really self-conscious about any emotions coming out. And I've tried to learn to embrace that because I know that all of those things, emotions and feelings coming out, are important for us to express to one another and to not suppress. And play is one of those things too. But our children see us doing that, getting embarrassed and being scared of moving out there and having our emotions on display. Have you ever heard a child playing in the room by themselves when you're in the house? They're acting out a play with their dolls or making up some kind of story, and then you try to sneak around into the room and see what they're doing, but your footsteps have given you away, and they instantly stop as soon as they notice you're there. Red cheeks or sheepish grins. This has happened to me with me and my niece. She has a habit of singing in her bed before she goes to sleep. Let it go, the loudest that you've ever heard for a child who's supposed to be sleeping. But she will stop as soon as you come into her bedroom. I don't think that we mean to, but we teach kids that these fun emotions, this play is too much in too many of our spaces. And it's sad for them, but it's also sad for us. What if we embraced childlike play? What if we ran like we were free and happy rather than worrying about what others thought of us? Maybe that would help our kids stay kids and have fun and play. And then maybe we'd also learn from them how to practice play more in our lives. The world is heavy, y'all. Going into an election season that keeps getting wilder and wilder, more rhetoric on TV that's hurtful, wars raging that threaten people all over the globe, like Yusuf's family in Gaza. Just this month, the killing of Sonia Massey by police in her home when she called them about being fearful of an intruder. The world is heavy. In the midst of all of this swirling around us, play is an act of resistance. Choosing to make space in our lives to love and have fun and celebrate is an act of resistance. And we need that in our lives. We need to find the moments that bring joy and that we can be free. We need to set that example for the younger people in our lives who are struggling and find ways to help them see that there can be moments of play, of being carefree. So there's one more picture from me, and I'm going to end my story. If we can get, thank you. This one's an embarrassing one. I wouldn't have shown this anywhere else. I love you all a lot. You can tell I've definitely embraced play and drama in my life as a child. That is me, of course, on the right, and the woman in the middle is Carol Overholt. She and her husband, Dr. Bob, let me and my brother stay with her for a week. They were part of our church in Knoxville when we were there. My parents went out of town and they kept us, and the younger girl in the photo is her granddaughter. And what I remember about staying with Carol and Dr. Bob was that their house was amazing, like a mansion, perfectly decorated and clean, and really not a space where there looked like children ever inhabited. Very beautiful, very pristine. But one day when her granddaughter was over, we decided that we wanted to play dress up or do something fun. And Carol didn't have a bin of costumes, clothes for us to pick from, or a kid's bucket in her house. She just brought us straight into her closet. Everything that we're wearing is from Carol's closet. No clothes off limits. We just tore in and found fabulous things to wear. And she took her makeup and did our lipstick and our eyes. And she got in on it too, as you can tell. She dressed up with us. And Dr. Bob, her husband, is the one behind the camera taking pictures of this photo shoot, which I think is amazing because this is one of like 25 photos, y'all. And they're all different poses all around their house outside. And this is a core memory for me as a child. When adults embraced play with me and lived out my photo shoot Parent Trap movie fantasy. When we embrace play, we make an impression on the people around us. We share our joy, and that's contagious. In the midst of systems that oppress and hateful rhetoric all around us, choosing to play is resisting the temptation to believe that all hope is lost. Choosing play reminds us that there is more in this world and that we can create that together. May we find the moments of play and celebrate and laugh with one another. May we find the childlike spirit that we need. May it be so this day and every day. Amen.
We introduced this song last week, and the words are in the bulletin. It's very easy, so join in.
So we're only doing verses 1 and 2.
In the midst of pain, I choose love. In the midst of pain, I choose love. In the midst of pain, sorrow falling down like rain, I awake the sun again. I choose love. I choose love. In the midst of war, I choose peace. In the midst of war, I choose peace. In the midst of war, hate and anger keeping score, I will seek the good once more. I choose peace. I choose peace. Will we choose peace?
Let's share in another mindful moment. This one is called, and feel free to giggle, because this one is called the finger fiddle. Feel free to stand or sit tall. Take 3 soft, slow, mindful breaths. Press the fingertips of both hands together in front of your chest. Keep your fingertips touching and tap your thumbs together 5 times. Say, tap, 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 tap. Now, tap your pointer fingers together 5 times. Keep the other fingers still. And again, say tap, 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 tap. Take your middle fingers, then your ring fingers, then your pinky fingers. Say tap, 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 tap each time. Now start with your pinky fingers and go back the other way to your thumbs. And don't forget to say tap, tap, When you're done, shake out your hands and wiggle your fingers, signaling that you're all finished. All done.
As always, please look over the prayer requests from our High Country community and beyond that are listed in the worship guide. And are there other prayer requests? And we could have is there a microphone we could pass around? Where is it? Oh, you may come grab it. Okay, yeah, I'm kind of tall. No problem.
I know if Joseph has had his surgery yet, Bethanti. I know.
To have it, I think, like this week. I haven't heard from him.
I appreciate you praying for my mom. Please continue to do so. She had an episode Friday morning, but she's stable again. But I want you to pray for my neighbor Stella. Hospice has been called in. She's been told about a week, and it's just sad to watch. And there's a lot of other drama in the background. So just her name is Stella. Just please lift her up and lift up the family.
We all know mental illness is rampant and around us. I want you to keep in mind, a little friend of mine who's 11, who's been in the hospital for mental illness for over 2 months and is getting ready to go to a in-home therapeutic long-term care away from family, and he's been away from family for over 2 months, and he's just 11, so keep him in your prayers.
A friend of mine's niece was like hiking and doing paddleboard and stuff out west, and it's been about a week and a half she went missing, and they think there's no sign of her body, so they really think she was maybe kidnapped. And her name is Emily, if you can just remember that family. She's like 32, so she's not like a child.
I'm just thinking of all the people being affected by fires in California and real Canada and all around Colorado. Lots of fires, and the heat affecting people.
Sarah's sermon reminded me of a story shared on NPR about a 15-year-old child in the war-torn portion of our country, of the world. And he was talking to the reporter about how, with his father being killed by some of the gunfire, he was taking the responsibility of providing for his family. And he said that with such pride. It's my family now. He said, I'm the oldest son, and it's my job to take over my father's business. I have a sense he's not doing a lot of playing.
As I was riding to church this morning, I heard a tribute from Alan Johnson on NPR to his wife of 40 years anniversary.
And the Willards anniversary is this weekend. It was just, when was y'all's? Y'all's is today, and then the Willards was when? 43 years on the 25th. So we celebrate all those folks. Thank you. Yeah. It's a feat.
Hmm.
Right here. Got one more.
I want to just say that it's so wonderful now with the changing of the guard and the positive new things that have happened in our politics that I can see your faces, you're smiling right now. And it's so good to smile again, because there for a long time, we weren't doing a lot of smiling. And now we feel like we're all coming together and we're seeing that there's a possibility that we might be able to pull this off. And it's just so nice to see people joyful and positive again, because it's been a while.
I'd like to say thank you to the people that consented to be on the search committee. That's going to be a lot of time taken to do that, and admire you for doing that.
Anyone else?
This might not be the perfect. I want to thank all of those folks sitting here. I'm going to jump on your parade, Pam.
Okay, this may not be the perfect time, but I'm going to thank all of you that are going to pick up papers from Pam today to talk about pledging, and you're going to fill them out today and leave them with us today so that we can really get a better handle on what our budget's going to be and how many dollars we have for the new minister we hope to hire. So that's my part of it. Pam's got more details, but thank you for filling them out today.
Anything else? All right. Aren't we courageous to be on this planet together? And it's joyful. It's a joyful time. The prayers of gratitude, the prayers of hope, the prayers of just asking for help. So let's just keep all these prayers in mind, prayers that we've read about, the prayers we've heard about just now, the prayers that come up spontaneously as we watch the news or we watch people in the neighborhood, to just keep all those prayers together. So let me pray. God, who made each and every living being, there's a fun and whimsical aspect to you. You designed us to run until we're giddy and breathless, to converse in ways in mere moments can dissolve an entire group of people into uncontrollable laughter. You built within our minds a fascination for solving riddles and working puzzles. You gave us the ability to skip or to roll down a hill, neither of which would have helped the species survive in the world. Surely you had fun in mind and nothing else. Open our eyes and our hearts to see the whimsy, to take part in the play, to enjoy life, and to laugh often. Amen. call the offering? Okay. So, giving what? Okay, I'm sorry. Giving from what we have is an act of resistance. In a society that tells us to hold tightly onto our resources, we choose to share, knowing that our combined resources make a difference in this world. May we offer what we can today in this powerful, hopeful, joyful spirit.
Stand in body or in spirit, we will sing the doxology. Amen. Thank you to the Greenfels for helping us lead that and for being part of worship today. Are there announcements? I have some. We'll make these go quick. There's a microphone up here, so if you have one, why don't you come up here and join me so that we can say them from up here too. Our music jam and sing along will be this Wednesday. That's our final, not hopefully final, fundraiser for the carpet. We're going to be auctioning off cakes, and there's a lot of good fun music going to happen because I heard the musicians talking about it yesterday. So it's going to be a lot of fun to sing along to those old time songs that they're going to play, and I hope that you'll be with us, and I hope that you'll have a sweet tooth so that you can be really excited about these cakes that are going to be on auction. Pam is going to talk about stewardship really quick too.
Good morning. So again, our doors are open. Our stewardship campaign. An email went out with a link to go to Breeze to fill out that form, which goes directly to Susan Sage. Doesn't go to anybody else. It goes straight to her. There are other ways. We have paper forms for those of you who don't want to use Breeze. I'll have those in the back here where you can fill these out. It's a front and back. There's a few questions for us to answer. And we do need these as soon as possible for us to be able to get a budget for next year. And we're also looking at increasing what we can do with the salary for a pastor as well. So it's very important that we get this in as soon as possible. And again, everything goes to Susan Sage. And you can also send her an email if that works for you, whatever mode of communication that you would like to give that information to her.
Kathleen's going to be next. She has an announcement too for us. Sure. Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning the fundraiser. It's very, very important that you invite your friends and neighbors so that we have a good crowd on Wednesday night. Anybody who wants to bring their instrument and play, they are going to welcome them in the band. The second thing, we are going to rearrange the vestibule a little bit this week, and there will be a friendship bench put out there. And that is, after church, if you would like to go out to eat with some friends, make some new friends, just gather at the friendship bench. And every Sunday, anyone who wants to maybe go get something to eat will have a friend to go with.
We'll keep announcing that. My hope is that in having that, which I love, Kathleen, thank you for that idea, is that some of our folks who are visitors among us might find a way to that bench and might find a way to help us connect with them and create more community in this space and outside of this space.
Watauga County Schools is actively collecting school supplies. The back to school fair is the 10th at Watauga High School. If you are so inclined, this is absolutely fabulous, not just for kids, but I know that every kid that walks into my classroom has had the opportunity to have everything on their supply list fulfilled. So it's the generosity of the community that makes that happen.
Amazing. And I think Lee Marshall will be at that event, right? To be at the table, and if you need more folks, maybe.
Yes, I'm going to be there with our giant Jenga, and I'm going to attempt face painting.
Woohoo!
Please pray for that.
Hearts and
it's
squares.
very simple. If you have any artistic ability, I can use your help, and of course information. And also, this is the last week to collect diapers. So far, we've collected about 800 diapers, not counting those out there.
Amazing.
So way to go.
Thank you all. Let us dedicate the work of this community and the offerings that we've given today and that we will continue to give through our stewardship campaign with this prayer written in your worship guide. We bless this work of the people for the flourishing of our world. May we continue to proclaim the belovedness of all people alongside those who have been abandoned. May we use these gifts to create a more whole and just way of living for all people. Amen.
It's 569, and we're singing verses 1, 3, and 4. Gift of great wonder, ours is
As we go from this place, I invite you to embrace play. Take those moments that you feel excited to shout it out, to laugh bigger than you have the other days of this week, to be more excited. Take the moments to dance and play and run around when you can, and run with your arms flailing and not just for exercise. May we embrace that. May we show our children what it is like to be carefree. Let us go from this place in that hope and love. Amen.
It's so fun. Your little part on that, it's just like. Boop, 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 boop.